The first alien warship appeared above Earth without warning. Then another. And another. Within minutes, the sky over every major city darkened beneath shadows so enormous they looked like moving continents. New York froze. Tokyo went silent. London stood still. Across the planet, billions stared upward as impossible metallic structures stretched across the atmosphere like steel mountains suspended in orbit. Humanity had always imagined first contact would begin with curiosity. A greeting. A signal. Maybe even peace. Instead, Earth received a demand. Every television screen, satellite network, military frequency, and civilian device suddenly shut down. Phones vibrated. Emergency broadcasts interrupted programming worldwide. Then a voice echoed across the planet. Cold. Calm. Unimpressed. "We are the Galactic Empire. Your species has entered Imperial territory." The message continued without emotion. "Your world will surrender all military authority. Your governments will dissolve. Resistance will result in planetary correction. No negotiation. No diplomacy. Just terms." Humanity had 24 hours. The panic was immediate. Financial systems crashed. Religious groups declared the end had arrived. Cities flooded with protests, fear, and confusion. Military commands activated across every continent, but everyone knew the truth. Earth wasn't ready for this. Not even close. The Empire's fleet numbered in the thousands. Ships the size of cities floated beyond the atmosphere, their weapons aimed toward population centers as if humanity were already conquered. Orbital scans showed enough firepower to erase civilization in hours. Then the reports started coming in. Brazil confirmed multiple carrier-class vessels. India detected energy signatures larger than entire mountain ranges. American defense systems couldn't even lock onto Imperial technology. European intelligence quietly concluded Earth had no winning scenario. Humanity looked exactly like what the Empire expected. Divided. Primitive. Hopeless. Imperial commanders openly mocked Earth during intercepted communications. One admiral reportedly compared humanity to a species conquered in under 3 hours. Another laughed at Earth's military satellites, calling them museum relics pretending to be defenses. To them, humanity wasn't dangerous. Humanity was entertainment. Even Earth's orbital fleet looked embarrassing by comparison. A handful of aging defense stations. Outdated destroyers. Experimental weapons that had barely passed testing. Against an empire that had crushed dozens of civilizations, Earth looked less like an enemy and more like an inconvenience. But something strange kept happening. Human leaders weren't surrendering. Not immediately. World governments argued publicly, yet behind closed doors something else was happening. Meetings became classified. Military transmissions stopped using standard encryption. Deep space observatories suddenly received priority access from governments that rarely cooperated on anything. The Empire noticed. They interpreted it as denial. Fear. Desperation. Humanity stalling before collapse. When the Imperial governor demanded immediate confirmation of surrender, Earth requested additional negotiation time. 12 hours. The request confused Imperial leadership. Species this weak usually begged. Or panicked. Or attacked out of fear. Humans were doing none of those things. Instead, they looked patient. The Empire accepted the delay, mostly for amusement. Their fleet tightened formation around Earth while countdown clocks spread across every screen on the planet. 12 hours until surrender. Or extinction. What the Empire didn't know was that somewhere beneath layers of classified military networks, a signal had already been sent. Not to allies. Not to neighboring systems. Not even to humanity's governments. The transmission traveled far beyond map space. Beyond trade routes. Beyond military territory. Into a region humanity officially claimed had never been explored. The message contained only 7 words. Earth is threatened. Return immediately. 12 hours passed faster than anyone expected. The Empire tightened its grip around Earth with mechanical precision. Warships shifted into bombardment positions, their shadows crawling across continents as orbital weapons locked onto military bases, power grids, and every major city. Humanity watched the countdown. 10 hours. 8. 6. No reinforcements came. No miracle appeared. The Empire grew impatient. Imperial patrol craft began flying openly through Earth's upper atmosphere, scanning defenses as if surveying property they already owned. Analysts aboard the flagship laughed at what they found. Missile silos. Nuclear deterrence. Conventional fleets. Technology centuries behind Imperial standards. To them, Earth wasn't resisting. Earth was delaying the inevitable. Yet beneath the fear spreading through humanity, another emotion quietly emerged among military leadership. Expectation. Governments that could barely agree on trade suddenly cooperated in total silence. Classified archives opened under emergency authorization. Files untouched for centuries resurfaced. Most politicians didn't even know they existed. The records dated back to humanity's bloodiest era. Before global unity. Before interstellar expansion. Before Earth learned to fear what humans could become. It had started as a civil war. Not over territory. Not over ideology. Over survival. One faction believed humanity's compassion would eventually destroy the species. They rejected diplomacy, treaties, and restraint entirely. To them, peace was weakness disguised as morality. They built terrifying weapons. Engineered ruthless soldiers. Turned warfare into science. And they won. Too easily. By the time the conflict ended, even their allies feared them. Entire regions had been burned into silence. Rebellions vanished overnight. Enemies surrendered simply from rumors of what these commanders would do. Humanity faced an impossible choice. Destroy them. Or exile them. They chose exile. A fleet larger than any in history disappeared into forbidden space beyond map systems. Official records claimed they never existed. History books erased them. The public forgot. But military leaders never did. Because before leaving, the exiled commanders made a promise. If Earth ever faces extinction, we return. Most believed it was meaningless. Centuries had passed. No contact. No sightings. Nothing. Until 6 hours before surrender. Deep space observatories near Pluto detected movement. At first, scientists assumed equipment failure. The readings made no sense. Mass signatures larger than moons. Energy outputs impossible by known physics. Then more signals appeared. Hundreds. Then thousands. Something enormous was moving through the dark. Imperial scanners caught it too. Admirals dismissed the reports immediately. Uncharted debris. Sensor distortion. Primitive interference. But one intelligence officer refused to ignore it. Buried inside restricted Imperial archives, he found fragmented military warnings older than the Empire itself. Records from extinct civilizations. Stories dismissed as myths. Each described the same thing. Black space tearing apart. Silent warships emerging from nowhere. Entire empires erased without negotiations. The classification stamped across every file read. Void-born human fleets. Threat level, extinction class. The officer immediately requested emergency review. He never got the chance. Because seconds later, long-range systems detected something impossible. Space beyond Pluto had started breaking open. The Empire had conquered worlds for thousands of years. Nothing surprised them anymore. Not resistance. Not desperation. Not last stands. But this? This made entire command decks fall silent. Beyond Pluto, space twisted like reality itself had become unstable. Sensors glitched. Navigation systems failed. Stars vanished behind expanding fractures spreading across the void like cracks through black glass. Then the first rupture opened. No explosion. No sound. Just darkness tearing itself apart. Imperial commanders stared as something enormous emerged from inside. A warship. Then another. Then hundreds. then thousands. The scale broke comprehension. Ships larger than cities drifted from the black fractures, their hulls scarred by battles no known civilization had survived. Their armor looked ancient yet impossibly advanced, layered with weapons the Empire couldn't identify. Some carried entire structures built onto their surfaces like moving fortresses. Others looked damaged beyond repair, yet still moved with terrifying precision. There were no imperial markings, no diplomatic frequencies, no recognizable fleet formations. Only silence. Then gravity across the outer system shifted. More void fractures opened near Jupiter, Saturn, Mars. Within minutes, Earth's solar system disappeared beneath the shadow of an armada so vast even imperial calculations stopped functioning. Panic spread through the Empire's fleet. Commanders demanded identification. No response. Threat warnings screamed across every bridge. Energy signatures exceeded known military limits. Targeting systems refused lock confirmation. For the first time in centuries, Imperial admirals looked afraid. Earth, meanwhile, recognized something impossible. Ancient insignias appeared on the ships. Symbols erased from history. Symbols only hidden military archives still remembered. The exiled fleet. Humanity's forgotten monsters had answered the call. Then transmissions finally arrived. Not to Earth. To the Empire. A single channel forced itself through every military frequency simultaneously. The voice wasn't emotional. Wasn't angry. Just cold. Measured. Disappointed. You entered protected territory. Imperial Command demanded identification. The response came instantly. We are the descendants of exile. Another transmission interrupted before anyone could answer. You threatened our home. Silence spread across command decks. Then came the sentence that shattered Imperial confidence. Now you answer to us. The Empire reacted the only way empires ever did. Fear disguised as force. Orders spread across the fleet. Weapons charged. Orbital cannons aligned. Thousands of Imperial ships opened fire at once. The Void Armada never moved. At least not visibly. No shields activated. No evasive maneuvers. For 1 second, Imperial commanders believed they had struck first. Then an entire battle group vanished. Not damaged. Not destroyed. Gone. 37 warships disappeared from sensors instantly. No debris. No explosions. Just empty space. Panic erupted. Admirals shouted conflicting orders. Retreat. Advance. Fire again. But before command stabilized, the human fleet finally moved. And the Empire realized something horrifying. Those ships hadn't arrived to defend Earth. They had arrived for war. The battle ended before the Empire understood it had begun. Imperial fleets fired everything they had. Planet killer beams. Carrier bombardments. Missile swarms capable of wiping civilizations from existence. None of it mattered. The Void Armada advanced without formation, without hesitation, like predators entering familiar territory. Their weapons didn't resemble anything in Imperial databases. Entire squadrons disappeared beneath waves of black distortion. Cruisers folded inward as if crushed by invisible gravity. Battleships split apart from the inside. One Imperial flagship simply stopped existing. No explosion. No warning. Just absence. Every military doctrine the Empire had built over centuries collapsed in less than an hour. Retreat orders spread across surviving fleets. Too late. The humans from the Void didn't fight wars. They erased threats. Ships attempting hyperspace jumps were intercepted before engines activated. Escape routes vanished. Communications jammed across entire sectors. An Imperial admiral finally transmitted surrender terms. The response chilled everyone listening. You offered none. Then the transmission ended. By the time silence returned to Earth's orbit, wreckage drifted where the greatest empire in the galaxy had once stood. Humanity celebrated. Crowds filled streets. World leaders declared survival. For a moment, Earth believed the nightmare was over. Then the Void Fleet moved closer. No cheering followed. Because people finally saw them clearly. These weren't the humans history remembered. Their ships looked scarred beyond imagination, repaired with brutal efficiency rather than beauty. Entire hulls carried marks of wars fought for centuries. And the people aboard? Changed. Reports from intercepted visuals spread quickly. Genetically modified. Cybernetically enhanced. Faces hardened by generations of survival. No uniforms. No nations. Only symbols of the forgotten fleet humanity once exiled. Centuries beyond known space had transformed them into something colder. Something harder. Something Earth no longer fully recognized. Then Earth received a transmission. Global. Every screen. Every language. The figure speaking wore dark battle armor marked with ancient human insignias long erased from history. No greeting came. No emotion. Only words. We answered the call. Silence followed. Then, we protected humanity once. The voice posed. But your weakness nearly destroyed our home. Governments immediately requested diplomacy. No response. Military leaders asked if the fleet intended to stay. The answer came instantly. We have not decided. Panic spread faster than the invasion ever had. Because Earth suddenly understood something terrifying. The Empire had feared humanity. But humanity had feared these people. The Forgotten Fleet hadn't returned as heroes. They had returned as survivors of a harsher universe, one where mercy became extinction. Across the galaxy, news of the Empire's destruction spread like wildfire. Entire systems retreated into silence after hearing who had done it. Ancient records resurfaced. Warnings buried for thousands of years. One sentence appeared again and again across dead civilizations. Never threaten the species from Sol. Because the Empire learned too late. The most dangerous thing in the galaxy wasn't humanity. It was what humanity had abandoned in the void.